or send her into judicial remand. But there is something utterly depraved about this crime. And maybe it's simply the fact that it's the woman in this case who happens to be the alleged murderer. Usually it is the men who are accused of such violent crimes against their spouses. So now the tables have turned, which is leading us to ask a very simple question, but this is a simmering resentment that many men across this country have felt, that the law is unfair or maybe even unequal to men in India. Even though the law explicitly says, Article 14 and 15 of the Constitution clearly says that everyone is equal in front of the law, but there is this simmering resentment, this feeling amongst a section of men, and it has been brought to the fore in the Sonam Raghuvanshi, Raja Raghuvanshi case that somehow the law treats men differently than it treats women. But I want to first bring you up to speed with the different states, the different places that have become pivotal in this Meghalaya murder mystery. It's getting murkier. Let's break down how this plot was hatched, who are the principal players, and how it was executed. It spreads across 4 different states. Indore, of course, is central because that's where both Sonam Raghuvanshi and Raja Raghuvanshi hail from. And also the other main accomplice, the boyfriend of Sonam, Raj Kushwaha, he also hails from Indore. It was just on the 11th of May, just last month, that Raja Raghuvanshi and Sonam Raghuvanshi tied the knot. Shillong is the capital of Meghalaya. It's in the northeast. It's far away from Indore for sure. It's generally not a place that's on the list of honeymoon couples. Raja's family now claims, and that too post facto, that it was Sonam who insisted on going to Shillong. Raja Raghuvanshi's body was found in a gorge in the East Khasi Hills on the 2nd of June. At that time, his wife's body was missing. His wife's body was not found. Both of them were thought to be dead. After the murder, the Meghalaya police claims that Sonam left from Shillong. She fled to Guwahati along with the 3 other assailants, the 3 other accomplices, the paid for hire murderers who were there. Sonam, along with these 3 contract killers, stayed in Guwahati for a day before the 4 of them left for different places. Sonam is accused of orchestrating her husband's murder. In a dramatic turn of events, between Sunday night and Monday morning, she surrenders at a dhaba in Ghazipur in eastern Uttar Pradesh. Now, as per the dhaba owner, Sonam reached the eatery around 1 a.m. She asked for help. She wanted a mobile phone to contact her family. It was on her brother's assistance that the dhaba owner then informed the police about where she was. So all fingers seem to be pointing towards the wife Sonam in this case. The police are claiming that Sonam is said to have visited her home after the marriage between the 11th and the end of the month before they left for Shillong. So in that interim, she had gone back to her parents' place. That's where the police are saying that she planned her husband Raja's murder along with her boyfriend Raj Kushwaha. Raja's family claim that it was Sonam who wanted to go to Meghalaya in the first place. She was the one who made all the arrangements, got all the tickets done and so on. Raja was reportedly hesitant to go there, but she managed to convince him. Raja's mother claims that Sonam asked Raja to don a heavy gold chain during their honeymoon trip because the police believe this was to show that he was killed during a robbery attempt. The police have also claimed that they have call data records which show Sonam was in constant touch with Raj Kushwaha, even though Raj Kushwaha did not travel to Meghalaya. Even when Sonam was with Raja Raghuvanshi during their honeymoon, during their visit to Meghalaya, she even shared the live location with Raj Kushwaha, her boyfriend, who then later shared it with the contract killers. The police further claim that Sonam led Raja to a deserted area where he was eventually murdered by the contract killers, reportedly at the instructions and hired for by Raj Kushwaha. My colleague Preeti has been visiting that area. It's a lonely, desolate spot just off a valley there in the East Khasi Hills, just off Shillong in Meghalaya. Let's listen in to the ground reports that Preeti filed.
We are currently on our way to the route bridge, the double-decker route bridge, and also to the homestay where they stayed, Sipra homestay. However, it's very tough, a very difficult terrain to reach, a very long trek to reach Sipra homestay. No tourists we can see here because after the incident also it has hampered. Along with that, because this is a less taken road, so tourists are seen less. But Sonam and Raghuvanshi was going through this road, and and on that day when they stayed on the night when they stayed at Sipra homestay, Albert was the person who provided them help as a guide, which Sonam denied. And that was a big clue for Meghalaya police, because Albert was the person who also said that there were three more people who were Hindi speaking people, and it seemed like Sonam was tracking behind Raja Raghuvanshi and was walking with the three other people, when at the time she was meticulously planning to execute the murder plan which she had planned much earlier perhaps. We are at the place where for the last time, the scooty which was rented by Raja Raghuvanshi and Sonam that was parked here. It is Molakhyat, and this is the place where they parked their vehicle, their scooty, for the last time. These are the stairs where we are on, which took them to the double-decker route bridge. And near the double-decker route bridge is a homestay where they stayed for the night, and we can say that was the last night of Raja Raghuvanshi, when the next day he was murdered by his own wife, allegedly murdered by his own wife, Sonam.
So another proof of Sonam and Raj's involvement is this video. Raj Kushwaha, one of those who's arrested as one of the main suspects behind this plot to kill Raja Raghuvanshi, he was seen at the last rites, the funeral of the deceased Raja Raghuvanshi. In fact, Raja Raghuvanshi's sister, who happens to be a bit of a small-time star on Instagram, in one of her videos on her social media handle, she put out this video, and you can see Raj Kushwaha, who is an accomplice to the murder of this man, Raja Raghuvanshi. He's there at the funeral of Raja Raghuvanshi. He was there trying to console the family. He was partaking in the last rites of Raja Raghuvanshi, despite being fully complicit in the murder of Raja Raghuvanshi. And this is how the police managed to track the missing links to crack this case. Firstly, it was the frequent contacts and the sharing of information, including that of live location, between Sonam and Raj Kushwaha, right from Indore all the way to Meghalaya, and then even beyond. Even after she left Shillong and went to Guwahati and then dispersed from there, she was sharing her live location with Raj Kushwaha. Then the police scanned through the wedding videos. They deduced that Sonam was unhappy, and it was apparently during the rituals. That further raised questions whether she even wanted to marry Raja in the first place. Then it was the staged robbery. Remember, she had reportedly asked Raja to wear a thick chain around his neck so that it appears like a robbery. Raja Raghuvanshi's gold chain, his bracelet, his wallet were all stolen, while Sonam reportedly did not lose any of her belongings. So that itself was quite odd for the police. And further to this, the post-arrest visuals show no injury marks whatsoever on Sonam's body, indicating that she was not harmed by anyone. Because this is important, because she had claimed that she too was kidnapped and that she too was a victim. But there was no hurt marks on her body, there was no injury, there was no wounds on her body. What really turned things around for the cops was the testimony that was given by the guide. You heard Preeti talk about him a moment ago. The local guide there in Meghalaya, his name is Albert. His request or his offer of service was turned down by this couple, and that led to the police to uncover Raja Raghuvanshi's murder plot. He revealed to the police that he had spotted the couple along with three other men who were speaking in Hindi. So clearly, the spectre being that they were non-locals, they were not from that area. So what were these three men doing along with this couple? That raised the suspicions of the police. I want to go straight across to Mr. Conrad Sangma, who is the Chief Minister of Meghalaya, and he's also been at the forefront of trying to piece together this mystery which had the entire country riveted, and now, of course, it has come to light that it was Sonam Raghuvanshi, the wife of Raja Raghuvanshi, who was the main accused, who plotted and brought together all the other accomplices to kill her newly wedded husband. Mr. Sangma, thank you very much for joining us. First things first, there was a lot of pressure. Congratulations, first of all, to you and to the Meghalaya police for cracking this case. The whole country's interests and eyes were on this case. So congratulations on that. But when you first heard from your top cops that they've cracked this murder mystery and that Sonam Raghuvanshi was sort of the centerpiece of it, and that she was the Sutradhar who brought about all the other accomplices along with this other person, Raj Kushwaha, what was your first reaction? Because it's still sort of unfathomable that a newly wedded wife would go to this extent to kill her newly married husband?
Yeah, of course. We were, in fact, very shocked in the beginning when this entire episode unfolded and when we heard about the missing couple and the pressure was building up from all angles. It was a very difficult situation. But once we started piecing the evidence together, we did not speak much about it in public, and the police, of course, was doing its investigation in a very, very planned, systematic manner. And they refrained from going to the press and the public, and we also did not speak much about it. But we were aware of the different kind of facts that were coming in. So we were quite certain that it's moving in that direction. So it's not that it was a shock to us at that last moment. We knew that it's moving in that direction. We had got good evidence, but we did not come out. But as I said, I congratulate the police for doing excellent work.
At what point did the police team brief you or inform you that this is what their suspicion is, that the prime suspect is Sonam Raghuvanshi? Because the body of Raja was found a few days ago. Her body, I mean, if the conventional wisdom was, and this is what everybody thought, that both of them were killed, her body did not surface. Was it at that point that the police believed that she could be the prime suspect?
No, as I said, there were many evidences and many facts that were coming to light. Hence, it was very difficult to conclude, in one direction that this is what's happening. But we could see that, that there was some missing links. And that's the reason why it took us few days. I mean, when I say us, I mean the police. It took them few days to really put the pieces together. But the larger sense was quite clear that it's moving in that direction. So we eliminated all the different possibilities that were there. We looked at all aspects. There were so many theories doing the round about aspect from across the border, aspects of local individuals involved. We did not leave anything to chance. So the police did an, as I said, excellent job in really eliminating all the different possibilities, and that's when the picture started becoming clearer that it looks like that. And then the missing link was, of course, Sonam herself. And therefore, once we started gathering some intel on the movement and realizing that she's there, that's when it became clear. And of course, that also was kept under wraps. And we must thank all the police, state police departments that have cooperated with Meghalaya police, and ultimately we managed to catch them.
In terms of the linkages, we know that Sonam and Raj were apparently in a relationship, so clearly there must have been some form of communication between them. But to be able to pinpoint, and I assume, whenever she's presented in court and whenever this case goes to trial, how confident are you that there is enough corroborative evidence with the police that yes, Sonam was the fulcrum of this entire plot, and that there was, for whatever it's worth, quid pro quo in terms of communications, WhatsApp communications, or whatever other platforms they were using to communicate, to be able to nail the fact that she was the prime conspirator of the murder of her husband?
Again, I want to refrain from going into too much of details. But all I can tell you is that the evidence are very, very solid, and they are all hard evidence with technology-based, all facts based on whether it's phone records, whether it's messages, and of course now the statements will come in. So therefore, it is a very, very strong case. And the reason that I'm not going too much into details is because investigation is still on. It would be incorrect for me to say anything. But I can give you a very, very strong, a statement saying that it is definitely on the right. I mean, we are on the right track. And all the evidences are there. And this is a very, very tight case.
There was also, in this interim, in these last few weeks, almost like a concerted campaign that, these two have been killed, they were on a honeymoon, they were killed by the local people there. There was almost a campaign to sort of defame, if you will, the local people there, the state itself. How did you confront that?
No, in fact, that was very, very challenging, I should say. And it's okay to point a finger towards the government. It's okay to point a finger towards, the police force. We're quite used to it. But what actually hurt all of us was more of the fact that the people were being blamed, and a very wrong picture of Northeast. Forget Meghalaya alone. The whole of Northeast was being kind of branded in a very negative manner. So it was not a very good thing, and it really was put a lot of pressure on us, and especially the police, to move even more aggressively. But I think the police took it as a challenge. We all, in fact, took it as a challenge, and we said that we will move in the right way and we'll get things done. And and that's how it moved forward. And I think what is more important now is that we need to really take this forward. I know that there's a lot of sentiments, a lot of people, even today, you won't believe, there was actually a prayer meeting that was organized in Sora area for the deceased, in his respect, and they prayed for him. And that's how the people of Sora and Meghalaya and the Northeast are. That even though this was something that came as a surprise to us, damaged us, but for us, it's we will look at forgiveness. We look at aspects of moving forward and realizing that this is a difficult moment for the family too. And we hope that we'll all overcome this situation. And I really hope that, in fact, I encourage people who spoke negatively about Meghalaya and about Northeast, that it's not just words of apology, but the real way would be to actually come and visit the place, meet the people, and be with the people. And I think that's really what we should take forward from here.
And very quickly, a final comment: are you worried about any kind of knock-on or fallout because of this episode into what you said? Tourists coming there, and other people from the rest of the country coming there as visitors and for holidaying or whatever. Do you think there will be an impact, or you're now not as worried because the pieces of this case have fallen in place?
No, I guess it's as you said, it's fallen into place. But as I said, the damage has been done, to some extent, and therefore we have to pick up and move forward. But for me, I look at every situation as a chance and opportunity to really improve things and move forward. So I do welcome more and more people to come to the Northeast, and especially those, as I said, who criticized the people of the Northeast. The best way to really move forward is to be now together and move forward. And the best way to apologize would be to come and visit the people and be with the people who you had criticized. Right. And I think that's a positive thing that we hope will come out.
All right, Mr. Conrad Sangma, thank you very much for speaking with us here on CNN News 18. I also want to go across to Madam Kiran Bedi, former Lieutenant Governor and former Commissioner of Police of Delhi. Thanks, ma'am, for speaking with us. This case is so intriguing and so, in a way depraved, some would say. Sonam Raghuvanshi was the prime suspect in the murder of her newly wedded husband, Raja Raghuvanshi. There's a lot of shock and awe around because of this case. How could someone do this? Least of all a woman. How could she do this to her newly married husband? Now that she's the prime suspect in this case, she's also allegedly hired 3 other people, including an ex-boyfriend of hers, all of whom are now under arrest. When you heard about this case, what was your first reaction when this news first broke out, and then when the Meghalaya police said that they believe that she is the chief conspirator, the prime accused? What was going through your mind when you heard that news?
Terrible shock. I think it's a tremendous breach of trust, because I had heard some statements of the newly married couple speaking to their parents and how they were going for a honeymoon, and the woman maintaining a fast, and the mother-in-law also saying, blessing the daughter-in-law. Now, whether the daughter-in-law was a deserving daughter-in-law or not, I do not know, which I think the investigation will reveal. But it was very tragic. Something which is really, to this extent, unheard of. So therefore, to my mind, this was a whole new development in our social crimes in this country, where this is happening. But I think it's driving home one very important message, that the stage of blind acceptance and blind impositions of arranged marriages now, I think probably is now weakening. Over. Parents need to be very sure that the couple, the man and the woman they're bringing together, are not leaving behind live relationships.
Okay.
Live relationships, active relationships. They could have had relationships, but are they living life, which might come back threaten them this way? So I think however, the motive of crime,
Okay.
of this crime, has to be established, and that will establish whether she is a victim or she's an accused or the prime accused. Because conspiracy, I believe, I know is very difficult to link, but they've got to do the linkages. They've got the main things. They've got the weapon, they've got the dead body, they've got the scene of crime, they've got the contract killers. Now we need to know the antecedents of these contract killers. Are they professional criminals? Have they done something like this in the past? Because now they're belonging to two states, Madhya Pradesh also, UP also,
Yeah.
and Meghalaya not, of course. But what are the antecedents of these people? So now it's all about good quality investigation to link it, to remake it beyond reasonable doubt.
So there's long been this underlying assumption, often taken for granted, that most of the serious, most violent crimes in our society are predominantly committed by men and often on women. However, in this case, according to the police's version at least, the woman was at the center of the crime. It was she who carried out the crime against a man, in this case, her husband. How does that alter our understanding of our social structures where a criminal is a criminal, regardless of the gender that they belong to?
If she is the prime accused and if she's the key leader and conspirator, that throws up a whole deficiency of social issues of social crimes, issues of relationships, issues of growth, issues of lack of emotional intelligence, issues of only about businesses and earning and no personal growth, no personal management, no life skills. It's all reactionary life, always wanting to achieve and never be able to fail or accept a failure. I think it's revealing a lot of deficiencies in our education, in our grooming, in our parenting, in our personal growth, in our education, and all in learning personal management. We are always only dealing with upskilling, and being professional and be financially reliant. We're not talking about personal skills, ethics, character, habits, dealing with failure, dealing with rejection, respecting dignity, peace, non-violence. I think these are not getting learned, neither taught, and not being acquired. What is the biggest challenge now at the moment for a man or a woman at that stage is what is the social status she acquires, how good she looks, and how wealthy she is, what kind of clothing she has, what kind of friends she has, what kind of money she has, and her lifestyle. I think this is taking us to a reality of life today. It's a reality today. Man or a woman, now they're becoming with the social media, the friendships are being built and dropped at the drop of a hat.
All right, Kiran Bedi, ma'am, thank you very much for speaking with us here on CNN News 18 for your very succinct summary of what has come to shock this entire country, the curious case of Sonam and Raja Raghuvanshi. Now let's move on to another story in the backdrop of the Bengaluru Stampede that claimed 11 lives and subsequent action against top cops, the Royal Challengers Bangalore management, the State Cricket Association, even Siddaramaia's political secretary has been sacked. Heads have rolled everywhere except from the government, and that is attracting massive backlash. The Congress High Command today summoned Chief Minister Siddaramaiah and Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivkumar to the national capital. Top Congress sources are now telling CNN News 18 that there could likely be a rejig in the Karnataka cabinet. That's likely very much on the cards now. The party wants to send out a strong message of course correction following the stampede. Though the reshuffle was on the cards anyway, even before this tragedy unfolded, now the party wants to capitalize on this opportunity, and therefore the High Command was briefed about the actions undertaken in the aftermath of the terrible tragedy outside the Chinnaswamy Stadium. But the party copped out, trying to downplay the rejig speculation, claiming that due action will be undertaken by the state government. Let's listen in to Mr. K.C. Venugopal, who briefed the press after both Siddaramaiah and D.K. Shivkumar met with both Mr. Rahul Gandhi and Mr. Kharge.
Certainly, we are very much concerned about every human life. We are the party are very much matter about the human life. unfortunate incident happened. Anyway, government of Karnataka has already ordered a judicial inquiry to find out what exactly happened. During the course of judicial inquiry, party didn't want to involve into the nitty-gritty of the issue. But generally, party has clearly viewed that there should be a clear-cut pro-people attitude on this issue also.
The Congress High Command now saying that it does not want to do much, especially when a judicial probe is on in the Chinnaswamy Stampede case. This comes as a relief for Siddaramaiah and DK Shivakumar, but it could fast track 2-3 developments within the party. One, this gives an upper hand to people who've been seeking a change in the leadership of Karnataka Congress. Remember, DK Shivakumar continues to be Karnataka Pradesh Congress chief. He's pushing to continue or be in that seat till the local body election, but now there could be a chorus to ensure that there is a new president and the local body election is fought under that person's leadership. So that could gain more momentum. At the same time, a lot of senior leaders who've been kept in the back burner, who kept out of the cabinet, could once again seek a cabinet berth if a reshuffle happens in the coming few weeks and months. Remember, the likes of B.K. Hariprasad, R.V. Deshpande have been disgruntled for not being accommodated in the cabinet. So they have a bigger say or a bigger bargaining power with the Congress High Command, not looking at DK Shivakumar and Siddaramaiah in a very positive light, especially after the Stampede case. Third is what happens within the Karnataka cabinet. Remember, there are several non-performing leaders and the Congress could use this as a tool to drop them, especially with the government completing 2 years. They believe that it could be something that is worth looking at, because the government always spoke about how there will be a reshuffle in the cabinet after 2 years and newer faces will be given opportunity.
Now, in a parallel development, the Karnataka Raj Bhavan has snubbed Chief Minister Siddaramaiah's claim that the government was not involved at all. In fact, in a statement, the governor has claimed that the governor wanted to invite the RCB players to felicitate them at the Raj Bhavan and even reached out to the Chief Secretary and the government over this matter, but was told by the government that the event was taking place at the Vidhan Sauda. Moreover, the Chief Minister even officially invited the governor to take part in the event. So the political lid is off in this blame game. Will Siddaramaiah and DK Shivakumar now be asked by the High Command to rejig this entire cabinet? Who will be held accountable politically for this? Like I said, they came and met with the High Command. There isn't going to be any immediate change, but certainly change is in the offing. Talking about change, it's another day, another open admission of terror by one of Pakistan's politicians. No changes there. Once again, Pakistan's real terror face stands exposed before the world, this time in a fiery interview with Sky News anchor Yalda Hakim. Pakistan's senator and senior leader of the Pakistan People's Party, the main opposition party, Sherry Rehman, has staunchly defended Pakistan's record on terrorism, asserting that Pakistan is now a changed country. But when she was pressed with the facts, of course, she ran out of answers. Let's listen in to this sham narrative, the sham claim that's been put forth by a senior politician like Sherry Rehman and how she was confronted by Sky News' Yalda Hakim.
In 2022, Sajid Mir, the guy who plotted the Mumbai attacks, was suddenly presented after being told that he was... But that is the relationship between the ISI and terror organizations.
I take all your points. I mean, you're citing a long history of engaging with terrorism one way or the other. Okay, either fighting it. But we have grown up now fighting not conventional wars anymore. This is the first one I've encountered after a long time. I grew up between the two.
As Pakistan has completely cleaned its record, the tens of thousands of terrorists that existed in the
Pakistan
country,
is fighting very hard to do that.
Brigade 313 is Al-Qaeda in Pakistan. It's an umbrella organization for members of several groups like the Taliban, Lashkar-e-Jangvi, Hakat al-Jihad al-Islami,
Miss Hakim, I don't know who told you this, but this is, I can produce any number of pages saying all this. Perhaps we should also produce a fact sheet and more than a fact sheet, a digital dossier.
I asked the question, Senator Rahman, because this is you being accountable for what is happening inside Pakistan.
In a statement
issued on the 7th of May following the Indian airstrikes, Jaish-e-Mohammed said that at least 10 members of their family, its chief Masood Azhar, was killed in the strikes in Bahawalpur.
Your point being?
My point being is that these are the leaders of a massive terrorist organisation that focuses on attacks in Kashmir. They've said 10 members of their family were killed there.
Leaders.
But I want to know what brigade. I want to know what Brigade 313 is, and why analysts, international analysts, are saying that's Al Qaeda in Pakistan.
Most of the international analysts you're quoting are strongly aligned with India's narrative. They tell only India's story.
All right, we're just getting the latest pictures from the meeting that the Prime Minister has had with the various members of Parliament, the delegations that went to different countries, more than 50-odd countries. You can see the Prime Minister having a light-hearted moment with Ghulam Nabi Azad, the former Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister, with Anand Sharma, who used to be the Deputy Leader of the Congress in the Rajya Sabha. You can also see Shashi Tharoor and Ravi Shankar Prasad in the background. So he's met with a whole bunch of these MPs who were sent, really. There you have a close-up picture of the Prime Minister greeting Shashi Tharoor, who headed the delegation that went to the United States. So clearly this is the Prime Minister, in a way, it's a thank you gesture by the Prime Minister to all these various members of Parliament who represented India, in a sense, to put forth India's point of view as to why India had to carry out Operation Sindoor, how its hand was forced to retaliate after the Pahalgam terror attack on the 22nd of April, in which 26 innocent civilians were killed. Let me go across to Payal, who has more details on this. So the still pictures have come out. Any word you're picking up, Payal, on what the Prime Minister told these members of Parliament, these visiting delegations?
Zaka, no doubt whatsoever that these political leaders cutting across party lines went there with a message across the globe saying that India is united in its fight against terror. You can have political differences within the country, but when you go outside the country, you're pretty much there, on the same page. And what their experiences have been is probably the Prime Ministers, would have, talked to them about it as well. But the pictures are very, very interesting, and it's going to actually make the Congress party feel very nervous. Because the pictures that the Prime Minister's office has released has Ghulam Nabi Azad meeting the Prime Minister, Dr. Shashi Tharoor, the much spoken about leader, through the whole delegation meetings, and of course Anand Sharma amongst the others as well. We're still waiting to hear from detail, in terms of details from the meeting, because we're still waiting to hear from the members what their conversation with Prime Minister Modi really looked like. But it seems like everybody looked very happy and content when the Prime Minister met them. And of course the Prime Minister would, on his part, would have also thanked them, for taking this step ahead and making sure that they represent brand India across the entire globe in this fight against terror.
All right, Payal, we'll leave it at that. So the Prime Minister there meeting with the various members of Parliament who were part of these delegations that went to various countries. More than 50 such countries were chosen, 7 different parliamentary delegations. He's, of course, also, in a way, thanked them for their service, for putting forth India's point of view in these various global capitals. Following India's Operation Sindoor and its success, the focus now is on India's both offensive as well as defensive strategy. The self-reliance or Atmanirbharta when it comes to our weapon systems, that has been proven right, and it has really shined and come to the fore through the course of Operation Sindoor. And that is now going to be the future trajectory that will shape India's military might. We're now going to dive deeper into what India's warfare capabilities are, what its indigenous systems that are developed or are in the process of developing, and also the joint theatre commands that has been spoken about, all of which we will be moving in a sort of concerted way in that direction. I spoke with former Army Chief General Manoj Pandey in one of his first ever sit-down interviews after demitting office, and of course he had a ringside view of what happened through those 4 days, those 88 hours of Operation Sindoor. This is an excerpt from the conversation that I had with the former Chief of Army Staff. Tell us a little bit more about that, your impressions of, whether it's the BrahMos, which is an indigenously developed missile system, whether it is, our air defense systems have been talked about a lot in the course of Operation Sindoor, Akash Tir and so on. What were your impressions of how successful these indigenous systems were?
Well, they were very successful in terms of the results that we achieved. The Akash air defense system, you had some of our loiter munition which was employed, just as BrahMos, and the whole lot of them. So I think one of the big takeaways from Sindoor has been as to how our indigenous equipment, our weapon systems have performed, which is a very positive sign and which is a good encouragement and a sort of validation for this entire Atmanirbharta effort that we have undertaken.
But what more do we need to do to indigenize? I mean, ultimately, many have been saying this is the holy grail. You need to get to a fighter jet that is indigenously made. We're moving in that direction, but ultimately the first line of attack is going to be through air power. How far more do we need to move in the direction of developing an indigenously built multi-role aircraft?
Well, I'll not talk specifically of the
course,
aircraft, but in general, I think one of the important aspects of indigenization is the aspect of our own R&D. Because in today's times, you cannot rest on R&D or technology, especially in the areas of niche disruptive technologies that you can borrow from outside, because you'll never get the best. You will always remain, like in the army we say, one bound behind. So we need to develop our own R&D system and encourage the private sector or the private defense sector to spend more on R&D, for which again government has created enabling policies. The DRDO reforms, they have taken place. The DRDO is also stepped up. So the R&D aspect is being adequately addressed. You also recently saw, just in case of AMCA, so the monopoly or the sort of dominance of the DPSUs, that is something which has been looked at. And you now have the private industry also being encouraged to join this entire effort. So we are now moving from a nomination-based sort of model through the DPSUs to a more, I would say, competitive pricing model where the private industry is also participating. And I think that is a very encouraging and a positive step.
So tell me, sir, we saw this both in the context of the India-Pakistan war that happened and also more recently in the context of the Russia-Ukraine war. Drone warfare seems to be, now the first line of attack, and thereby as a consequence of that, countries need to step up on their air defense systems. Is this going to be the war of the future? The war of the future is going to be fought with drones?
Well, I would say drones or unmanned systems are going to be an important component of the entire